Today, we are talking habits, you guys. I am such a fan of habits and I just see so much value in it. I honestly believe that our habits are the backbone of who we are, of the life that we live or we want to live. And I think that habits can make or break us, and they influence so much in our lives. And a lot of people don't really see it, or when they want to change habits, they don't really see kind of what it can lead to, or they lack the motivation and understanding of how it actually works. So today I just want to contaminate as many people as I can with my knowledge and my passion for habits and my experience and experience of my clients, and in general give you tips and tricks on how to create good habits, how to get rid of bad habits, and how to use them for your advantage and to create things in your life that you want to create, because I believe that habits are the backbone for that. So let's start with the basics. What are habits? We live in a world that is really complex, and we are surrounded by so many things, so many stimuli. We have so many choices during the day, and our brains are aware of that and they are lazy. So when a brain can create a shortcut, it will. So habits are basically these shortcuts, or you can say that they are like neurological pathways. If we do something repeatedly, our brain recognizes it as familiar and it creates like a shortcut or a neurological pathway that this behavior sort of becomes automatic. So if you wake up every morning and you go to brush your teeth, then at some point you will not have to make this decision anymore. You will just automatically wake up and go to brush your teeth because that's just what you do every day. That's what your brain automates itself to do every day. Because then it doesn't have to make any decisions. There is a thing that is called decision fatigue. And it is real because there are so many things that surround us. There are so many options in many areas of our lives, and there is so much uncertainty in the world that if we would have to make decisions about everything all the time, we frustrate ourselves, because if we have to choose out of two or three, it's fine. But if we have to choose like out of 50 things, or if we have to make choices throughout all day, we just burn out. Okay, so basically, habits reduce the amount of decision making that we have to do throughout the day, because our brains just want us to work less and be more comfortable, so we just do less things. A lot of the time we live on autopilot. There are different statistics, but about like 80 or 90% of our thoughts are automatic. So we think the same things every day, every day, every day, and we are not even aware of it. And also, I think that part of why we create habits so easily, so to say, or why we create this routine so easily, is that it, well, spares the energy that you need to spend in order to make all these decisions, but also because it creates a sense of safety. Especially you can see it with children. Like children really want to watch the same cartoon all the time. They want to read the same book all the time. They want to eat the same thing all the time because it's just safe for us. It makes us feel good. So if we do something every day, it's comfortable. So why do we have bad habits? It's because we have bad coping strategies that we repeat and our brains learn to repeat them. And basically it's not the fault of our brain, it's fault of our decisions that we make throughout our life repeatedly, and then we learn to make them automatically, basically. So in order to establish good habits, what you actually need to keep in mind is that it's good to establish them when things are good. It's like you don't start meditating when you are already in stress. You can do it, it will still help, but it will be even more helpful when you start meditating when you are not stressed and you're actually fine and you have this like brain capacity to introduce a new positive habit, because in the beginning it's going to be a conscious choice that you're going to be doing every day, and that requires energy. So it will require some energy. You will have to have this energy while you're actually feeling good, because when you're already not feeling so good, like you don't have a resource that you have to pull this energy, from. Now that I have talked so good about habits, I want to also introduce a thought that in some cases, sticking to our habits too much can not be so good. Because if, like, especially around, I don't know, like 30, 40 years, when we reach this mark, when our lives are stable, we go to the same job all the time, we already know everything in our field of specialization, and we kind of have the routine, we have the family. Especially if you have children, you have to have the routines because they go to school, they have their extracurricular classes, they have their bedtimes and so on. and they can kind of like limit us. So we have this little box that we put ourselves in for our own safety and pleasure and ease of being, but then we stop seeing, things outside of this box. We stop seeing other possibilities, and so it kind of like keeps ourselves in this little box. So what I am a fan of is introducing new habits or trying new things or making trying new things a habit, because there are habits that were helpful for you at some point in your life, but then at some point they will stop becoming helpful anymore. I want to introduce, I have done it in my other videos, but I want to introduce a term that is zone of known comfort, because a lot of people talk about comfort zones and how our habits may keep us in the comfort zone because this is all familiar and we know how to deal with stuff inside our comfort zone. But there is actually so many things that could be comfortable and good for us, but we just don't know about them. So zone of the known comfort is this, net of habits that we have that keeps us in place. But in order to discover and grow, we have to expand our zone of comfort. And for that, we have to get out of it sometimes and search around. And we can see if the new things that we try are actually beneficial or interesting or comfortable for us or not. And this is how we expand our capacity for the new things, our self image. We expand our capacity for more money, more success, more whatever you want inserted here. So first we have to, like create the idea of it, then we have to try it, and then we have to make it a habit, and then we have integrated it, and now we expand it. Like our capacity is bigger. We can have more things or more experiences or more choices. So basically my job here is to show you that there are more choices and that you can expand the amount of choices that you make in your life while working on your habits and expanding your zone of known comfort while working on your habits. Sometimes we can also identify with our habits way too much. So when we are so used to our workplace or our family or something, it can become kind of more expensive to look outside or try to change something, because part of our personality is already associated with it, like our ego is defined by it already somehow. And so it becomes even dangerous to look around and try other things, because we already are identified with our job title, we are identified with our way of like living. And when we try to change this label that we put on ourselves, we can suffer a little bit because it's hurtful, because we are like questioning, if especially if it becomes like one of the core beliefs about ourselves. So up until here, my idea is that habits are good habits are even better. We have them for a reason. They can make our life better, they can create who we are, and they do create who we are, and we can change who we are by changing our habits. But we should also be mindful of not identifying ourselves with our habits too much. Try to look around and introduce new habits from time to time. And basically, that was it. So now I want to stop a little bit more on the thought that the habits are sort of a backbone of our current reality. So think about yourself 5 years ago. What did you do? How did your day look? Where were you? How was it different from how you are now? Like, how did your day actually look different from how your day looks now? It might be something minimal, or it can be something really, really different. Like maybe you didn't have a family and now you have a family. Maybe you had another job and now you have like a job in a different city. Maybe you were working in corporate and now you're a freelancer, or maybe vice versa. Or maybe you didn't have a baby and now you have a baby. It can be so different, and you will see that the things that you do day to day are so different. So my idea and my experience, and the experience of many of the people that I work with, is that in order to change your life, you have to first create a vision of it. And what I find really helpful is like the exercise. It's so basic, of just writing down a day of your like dream life. If you're working toward a certain goal, like if you want to earn a certain amount of money, you have a certain job title, or you have a relationship, or you have a better relationship than the one that you have right now, I always recommend the exercise of just writing down like hour per hour how your day looks like. What does the person that you want to become do on an everyday basis? If you want to reach a certain fitness goal, what time does this person wake up? What do they do right after they wake up? How much time per day do they spend on reaching their fitness goals or maintaining their fitness routine? How do they nourish themselves? How do they talk to the people around them? How do they treat themselves? How much time do they spend resting? There are so many things that go into our day to day, and each choice, each decision defines where our life is going to go. And the absence of this choice also defines where our life is going to go. We like to fantasize about these other realities that we could be living, but we don't always really know what goes into that. And I am pretty sure that if you create a lifestyle as much as you can based on your current possibilities, if you create a lifestyle, and by lifestyle, I don't mean materialistic things, I mean more like habit lifestyle. If you create the lifestyle of a person that you want to become, and you follow it as much as you can given your current circumstances, you will automatically bring yourself closer to the lifestyle that you actually want to live and to the version of yourself that you want to become, which comes with new opportunities, new experiences, new people, new jobs, new bank statements, and so on. Because it's impossible not to, because your brain is going to create new neurological pathways and it will see more possibilities of bringing yourself towards the reality that you want to actually be living. So, okay, I think that would be enough for the motivational part. So now I want to focus on giving you some advice and some steps that you can take to create habits for yourself to become the version of yourself that you want to become. Devotion wins over discipline. So, a lot of the times we think that to create good habits, we need discipline. And to me, discipline is a word that is like supercharged with strictness, self aggression, and like forcing yourself to do stuff. And sometimes it will be necessary to give yourself a push. But I think that if you increase in general the amount of pressure that you exert on yourself in order to become a different version of yourself, it's not going to be a happier version of yourself. And that's not what we want to do. You cannot hate yourself into a better version of yourself. So try to first work through the reasons. If you notice that you cannot implement a habit, I would look in the reasons that are impeding you. Like I would look on what is in the way, because I also don't believe that there is such thing as lazy. There is either like not understanding what your motivation is, it's really not your goal and you're just doing it because you think that it's right, or you don't really understand why you need to do it. Maybe it's something that was imposed on you like by your family or by society and so on, but it doesn't really ignite you on the inside, and this is the necessary part for the devotion. Or maybe you just don't have the resource now, like maybe you don't have the energetic material time resources, and you just have to work on first filling your own cup and then directing this energy to becoming better or having a better life for yourself, you know. So having said that, first step is to implement just one habit at a time and take at least 2 weeks to settle one habit in place and then take up a new habit. Because if not, your brain will just go like into overload, especially if it's a bigger habit. And if you will start seeing the difference, you will know that it is because of this habit, and this will create a positive reinforcement loop in your brain. Because if you start like a million habits, you will see some changes, but you will not know what to attribute it to. So then, you know, you kind of increase the rapport with yourself and you increase the understanding of yourself that you have inside your own head. So like when I do this, this is the result, and I know how this works, like in this feedback loop. So now, at least one habit, like at least once per 2 weeks, or better three. Some people say that it takes like 21 days to form a habit. Some people say that it's like 40 or even 60. Look for yourself, like how much is enough for you. I noticed for myself that I can create habits really fast, but also it's something that I trained for the last 12 years. So just look for yourself. Another one is habit stacking, which is, it's easier to, I think everyone knows this, but I will just say it anyway. Like it's easier to add a habit on top of a habit that already exists than create a habit out of nowhere, because you have like, you need a cue. For example, if you want to start meditating, you can meditate right before going to bed or right after you brush your teeth in the morning. Or for example, in June I picked up again gratitude journaling, And I started doing like right after I have my breakfast, because then I have, like I finish breakfast, it's easier for me to remember to do my like gratitude pages. Another tip is not doing all or nothing. So there will be setbacks. There will be some, days where you will not do the good habit that you want to implement, and it's totally fine. When you are trying to create like a new lifestyle food wise, you also don't, like bash yourself for eating more or worse one day, because it just creates a restrictive pattern. And like this in everything, like if you had one slip up, it's not all or nothing. Like it's still better that you didn't scroll for 2 weeks and then you scrolled for like a full day, than you would have scrolled like every day like this for 2 weeks. Like you're still much better than otherwise. I already mentioned it briefly, but doing like self check-ins. So I really encourage everyone that I work with to know yourselves better. I will make a separate video on this because I find it so important. And when you integrate new habits, you really need to know how your life changes, because it will give you the motivation to go on with your life and with your habits. And yeah, so like every couple of days or every week, do a check in, like how am I going with this habit? Is it actually bringing anything positive into my life? And if it is, what is it? And how did my life change since I started this habit? So it will give you a better understanding of yourself and more motivation in the best case to continue or introduce another good habit. And just shortly about eliminating bad habits, like if you want to give up smoking or drinking, first of all, it's difficult. It's like when you Google, please don't show me pictures of elephants, or I saw the same thing with ChatGPT as well. Like it will sneak an elephant in there, or it will show you pictures of elephants. Like our brains work the same way. It's easier for us to like program it for something positive than to eliminate something negative. So for example, if you're giving up smoking, you can replace it with, when you have a cue to smoke, like for example, before you smoked after having your morning coffee, and now after having your morning coffee you drink a glass of water, or you do like 10 squats, or you do something that replaces the habit for you, and it takes this like itch in your brain away. Of course, if it's like a deeper rooted bad habit, then you need to understand like where it came from, what function it was fulfilling for you, because bad habits don't appear out of nowhere. They solve a problem for yourself that you didn't know how to solve otherwise. So you need to understand like the root cause, so basically what it gives you, what positive secondary benefit you're getting from it, the trigger, so when or what you get triggered by to exercise the bad habit, and the reward. So like what do you feel, or how do you feel after, or like the psychological background of it. And then you have to work on all three of them. Another useful thing is having like an emergency plan. So for example, if you're giving up smoking, like if something stressful happens and I feel like I cannot anymore, like I need to go and find a cigarette, what is the emergency plan? Like I will call my sister instead, or I will go and do like 2 circles around the building, or it can be anything, but you just have to like make an agreement with yourself that this is going to be the way how you're going to react in an emergency situation. Okay, we are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching it until here. Please let me know what other videos you would like to see from me on this channel, because I have so many ideas, but I also want to, talk about things that are not only interesting to me, but also interesting to you. And I look forward to seeing you again. If you're not subscribed, do subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and all the other things. Thanks again, and see you in the next one.